Hip-hop didn't die suddenly. It was warned, ignored, then buried. Tupac Shakur. Before Tupac Shakur ever touched a microphone, he lived inside a war that had no uniforms. He was born into surveillance. His mother, Afeni Shakur, was a Black Panther. Pregnant while on trial, surrounded by FBI pressure, courtroom fear, and revolutionary paranoia. Tupac's first environment was not safety, it was resistance that matters, because Tupac did not become angry later in life. He inherited anger. Tupac grew up reading political theory before comic books. Police raids were normal. Hunger was normal. Moving from city to city was normal. And yet, inside that chaos, Tupac discovered art. At the Baltimore School for the Arts, he studied poetry, acting, jazz, classical theater. He performed Shakespeare. He danced ballet. This is the part of Tupac history that gets ignored, because it complicates the narrative. Tupac was never just street. He was trained to observe, perform, and feel deeply. When Tupac entered rap, he didn't chase trends. He spoke like someone who had been holding his breath. Songs like Brenda's Got a Baby weren't entertainment. They were warnings. Tupac talked about teenage pregnancy, police violence, incarceration, black trauma. And he did it before America was ready to listen. But the industry was ready to sell it. Success didn't save Tupac. It isolated him. Money created distance from the people who grounded him. Fame put him around people who benefited from his chaos. Then came false accusations, prison, media humiliation. When Tupac was shot in 1994 and later imprisoned, something in him hardened. Not into hatred, but into hypervigilance. By the time Death Row Records entered his life, Tupac was no longer just an artist. He was a symbol. And symbols attract enemies. September 7, 1996. Las Vegas was loud, bright, crowded. Tupac was in a car, unprotected in ways no global star should ever be. Shots rang out. Chaos followed. 6 days later, Tupac Shakur was dead. Officially. No conviction. No closure. Unofficially. Gang politics. Industry rivalries. Personal vendettas. An environment that normalized violence. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Tupac did not walk into danger blindly. He had been living inside it for years. Tupac wasn't just killed by bullets. He was crushed by expectations, exploitation, masculinity myths, an industry that rewards instability. When Tupac died, hip-hop lost its conscience. And the silence that followed was not peaceful. It was a warning. If Tupac was the warning, then Biggie was the confirmation. The notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace was not born into revolution. He was born into consequence. Brooklyn in the 1970s and 80s was not romantic. It was crowded, underfunded, and violent in quiet ways that didn't make headlines. Biggie grew up watching his mother work endlessly while the streets offered faster money and faster destruction. He learned early that words mattered. Because words could talk you out of trouble. Or deeper into it. Biggie sold drugs before he sold records. That detail matters. Because when he rapped, he wasn't inventing characters. He was remembering. His flow was effortless because it was natural. His humor masked fear. His confidence hid calculation. When Ready to Die dropped in 1994, it didn't just introduce an artist. It introduced a narrator. Biggie made listeners feel like they were sitting beside him, hearing a confession whispered instead of shouted. But success came fast. Too fast. The East Coast versus West Coast rivalry did not begin as hatred. It began as marketing. Labels benefited. The media amplified it. Fans consumed it. But once Tupac was shot in 1994 and later blamed Biggie publicly, something shifted. Words turned into threats. Lyrics turned into evidence. Biggie, whether he wanted it or not, became the face of a conflict he did not control. March 9, 1997. Biggie had just released Life After Death. He was celebrating success. Then came the traffic light. The vehicle pulled up beside him. The shots. Biggie was gone at 24. No arrests. No convictions. Two coast-defining artists died within 6 months. At that moment, hip-hop lost its illusion of safety. Biggie died not because he was careless. He died because success without protection is exposure. Hip-hop had become too loud. Too profitable. Too reckless. And no one knew how to turn the volume down. Eazy-E. Eric Wright didn't look like a revolutionary. He looked like a businessman. That was the problem. Before NWA, West Coast rap was scattered. Eazy-E changed that by doing what few artists did. He funded himself. Ruthless Records wasn't just a label. It was independence. With Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and others, Eazy-E helped create music that terrified authorities and empowered listeners. But power creates fractures. As money grew, trust shrank. Accusations flew. Bad contracts. Manipulation. Control. The group fell apart publicly. And Eazy-E was left standing alone. Wealthy, influential, and increasingly isolated. In early 1995, Eazy-E announced he had AIDS. Weeks later, he was dead. The speed shocked everyone. Some accepted the explanation. Others questioned it quietly. Was it reckless living? Was it something darker? Was it simply the cost of a life lived without caution? No proof ever surfaced to support the conspiracy. But suspicion never left. Eazy-E showed artists the power of ownership. His death showed them the cost of standing alone. DMX. DMX didn't pretend to be strong. He screamed his weakness into the microphone. Earl Simmons grew up abused, abandoned, and addicted before fame ever arrived. Music was not his escape. It was his confession booth. When It's Dark and Hell is Hot dropped, listeners didn't hear the performance. They heard the truth. DMX reached the top fast. Multiple platinum albums. Sold-out tours. But success did not heal trauma. It magnified it. The industry celebrated his pain. But never protected him from it. Arrests. Relapses. Rehab. Prison. Each cycle is more public than the last. Fans watched a man fight himself in real time. In April 2021, DMX overdosed. Cardiac arrest followed. No mystery. No unanswered questions. Just exhaustion. DMX didn't die because hip-hop betrayed him. He died because pain went untreated for too long. And hip-hop watched. Big Pun. Christopher Rios, known as Big Pun, was never supposed to be invisible. Born in the Bronx, Pun came from a world where survival demanded toughness and humor in equal measure. He was gifted early, not just with rhyme skill, but with breath control, memory, and linguistic speed that few could match. When Big Pun entered hip-hop, he didn't knock. He stormed in. Pun's rise was meteoric. Capital Punishment went platinum, the first solo Latino rapper to achieve that. His lyrics were dense, aggressive, and technically flawless. But while his career expanded, his health collapsed. Pun suffered from severe obesity, asthma, and untreated depression. The industry laughed it off. Jokes became branding. Excess became entertainment. No one slowed him down. In February 2000, Big Pun died of a heart attack. He was 28. There was no scandal. No mystery. Just a body pushed past its limits in an industry that never says, stop. Big Pun didn't die from rap. He died from neglect disguised as celebration. Nate Dogg. Nathaniel Hale didn't rap loudly. He floated. Nate Dogg's voice became the emotional glue of West Coast hip-hop. From Dr. Dre to Snoop Dogg to Warren G, his hooks defined an era. Yet Nate rarely stood in the spotlight alone. Touring. Smoking. Drinking. Long nights. The lifestyle came standard. In the late 2000s, Nate suffered multiple strokes. His health declined steadily, publicly, and painfully. The industry moved on. In 2011, Nate Dogg died from complications related to a stroke. No controversy. No outrage. Just quiet acceptance. Nate Dogg showed that being essential doesn't mean being protected. Sometimes the most important voices are treated as replaceable. OL, Dirty Bastard. Russell Jones, better known as OL, Dirty Bastard, was never meant to fit inside rules. As a founding member of Wu-Tang Clan, ODB represented raw unpredictability. He was funny, dangerous, brilliant, and unstable. Sometimes all at once. Wu-Tang was disciplined. ODB was a disorder. ODB struggled with mental illness and addiction long before fame. The spotlight did not create his chaos, it magnified it. Arrests became headlines. Meltdowns became entertainment. Help came late. Structure never came. In 2004, ODB collapsed in a recording studio. Cause of death, drug overdose. He was 35. ODB didn't die because he was wild. He died because no one stopped the joke long enough to save the man. MF Doom. Daniel Dummel did not want fame. He wanted control. After the death of his brother Subrock, Doom disappeared, and returned behind a mask. Not to hide skill, but to hide pain. MF Doom was a craftsman. Abstract. Dense. Timeless. Doom avoided interviews. Avoided the industry machine. He moved quietly, deliberately. In 2020, MF Doom died. The world didn't know for months. Cause. Complications from health issues. Even in death, he kept control. Not all legends want the spotlight. But distance does not equal safety. Guru. Keith Elam, known as Guru of Gang Starr, was calm in a genre built on aggression. His voice was measured. His lyrics are reflective. Gang Starr shaped conscious hip-hop without preaching. In 2010, Guru fell into a coma. Conflicting statements followed. Family disputes. Management confusion. He died quietly, surrounded by controversy, not clarity. Cause, cancer complications. But the confusion around his final days left a scar. Even the wisest voices can be drowned out when control leaves their hands. Prodigy. Albert Johnson, prodigy of Mobb Deep, grew up with sickle cell anemia. Pain was a constant companion. Still, he became the voice of Queensbridge, cold, unfiltered, honest. Touring worsened his condition. Stress accelerated it. In 2017, Prodigy died after being hospitalized for complications related to sickle cell disease. He was 42. No drama. No mystery. Just a reminder that toughness doesn't stop biology. Dagrin. Dagrin was part of the early West Coast underground, raw, aggressive, promising. But the industry did not catch him in time. He was killed in 2001, before mainstream recognition. Hip-hop didn't kill its legends in one way. It killed some with violence. Others with neglect. Others with silence. The pattern is clear. Talent was celebrated. Pain was monetized. Protection was optional. If these stories moved you, don't just listen, remember. Comment which legend story affected you most. Subscribe for more deep hip-hop history. And ask yourself, how many voices were lost before the culture learned to protect its own?